Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today I have another Sims 4 speed build for you, but today it's going to be a little bit different than usual. So like I had mentioned last week, I had some personal stuff going on and I said I'd make a video about it, so this is the video. So if you are new to the channel or if you've seen my shorts, things like that, I have pet birds and unfortunately one of them passed away on September 25th. So that's kind of what I've been dealing with, and I decided that I wanted to make Skylar a treehouse. So he is a parakeet or a budgie, as other people refer to them as, and technically I think that's more their correct name. Originally they are from Australia, so I decided that I kind of wanted to mimic his more natural habitat. So I'm actually building this in Oasis Springs to get some of those desert vibes, but I just thought it would be pretty appropriate for me to just make him a tree house to live in. And I did actually create a sim, and that kind of reminded me of Skylar. So you saw him at the beginning. He had white hair because Skylar has a white head, and had a lot of blue and black and kind of like white stripey things going on, because that's what he looks like. And if you've not seen any of my shorts or seen my Instagram or anything like that, you definitely check it out. He will be on there and he will probably be on there in the future as well, because honestly, he's still my bird and I still want to share him with you. And so if you do see a short about him or something, just know that he's just no longer with us. But I don't want to make this a sad video. I want this to be a happy video, because honestly, he was such a sweet bird and I just wanted to take some time to actually talk about him a little bit. So one thing that's pretty interesting about him is that actually his favorite song is Fancy by Iggy Azalea. If you've ever heard of that. So funny enough, when I got Skylar, he was my first bird. I got him 7 years ago. It's kind of insane to think that he was 7 years old. But I did a bunch of research and they were like, oh, you should play classical music, and they like to listen to that kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay. Well, when I got him, he was so shy. He made no noises. He wouldn't eat or drink around us when we were in the house. So I assume he only did that really at night when we weren't watching him or when we weren't there. And so I thought, you know what, I'll play him some music. He should like that. And I tried everything over the rainbow, different mixes of Disney classical music, regular classical music, everything. Nothing was working. And so at that point I was like, okay, well maybe this just isn't gonna work. So I just decided to play a playlist of pop music, because that's kind of my jam. And the first song on there was Fancy by Iggy Azalea. And he started chirping and making a bunch of noise, and for the next 7 years, every time that song came on, he made that same specific noise. And it wasn't his I'm upset and I hate this voice. It was he was really excited about it. And I just thought that was kind of the funniest thing ever. He was obsessed with mirrors, loved looking at himself, talking to himself. I mean, I feel like a lot of birds are. And he was honestly just so sweet when we got our next two birds. I mean, he put up with a lot. We ended up getting our cockatiel 2 years later, and then a year after that we got our green cheek conure, and honestly he took all of that in stride. He got to know them and he just wanted to be their friend. He was just always sweet and singing. He never really made those awful squawking typical parrot noises that honestly my other two birds make. He just always seemed so happy and he wanted to just be with the other birds. And honestly, he didn't know how to take a bath properly, and I don't know why, but actually Connie ended up teaching him how to do that. So that was really fun to watch him learn from the other birds, and that was just really nice. But yeah, he really liked hanging out with them a lot. And honestly, he just got into a lot of shenanigans, and for some reason he was not good at standing on a moving dowel. Why? I don't know. Literally, it would be still, and then all of a sudden he would just start shaking back and forth, the dowel just couldn't stay still, and he would just spontaneously start moving. I don't know how, but that. And I don't understand, because he was really good at swings and loved swings, but that was just, he couldn't handle it, which was honestly so funny to me. And he did, like I said, learn how to take a bath from our conure, and he still didn't do it quite right. He would just kind of stand in the water and spread his wings out like something was going to happen. The water was just going to jump up onto his wings and that was going to be it. But you know, it's fine. He did take baths, but it was kind of adorable trying to watch him learn how to do it, because we used to just kind of spray him with water, which is another way you can actually bathe pet birds. And I feel like this is becoming somewhat informational, educational too, about owning birds, because they are just a whole nother world in and of themselves. But he was my first one, so he went through everything with us, and he was there between me moving around to multiple different cities, multiple different homes, multiple schools, getting married. Like, he was just, you know, he was always there with me. So I definitely really miss him, but honestly, he lived a really great life, and I know that. But it was just kind of unexpected to say goodbye. But I am excited to be able to make this for him. And I was thinking, in the trees, I tried to pull on a lot of his blue colors and the white colors, and I do put a zebra rug up in his bedroom because he had those black and white stripes on his neck, which most parakeets do, or at least the blue ones, and I just had to use it. It kind of looks a little weird, but I mean, I just felt like it had to be there because I just always think of like zebra stripes when I think of Skylar. So I ended up putting that in there, and like I said, drawing a lot of blue. So we had this like sky blue like on his belly and his back, and on his, it kind of like this, the beard area on him, he had these royal blue spots. And so actually when I created his sim, I gave that sim a like dark blue like beaded necklace to represent his like collar area. I honestly don't know what you would call that, but and if you've never seen him before, you probably think I'm crazy talking about him like this, but that is what he looks like. And I did end up adding in that giant stone underneath that first part of the treehouse because for some reason the columns weren't working properly, so it just looked like it was floating. So I thought I'd put a rock underneath it. So like the first tier of the treehouse is on that rock, and the other ones are up in the trees with like those stilts. And I've honestly never made a treehouse like this, but it was so much fun to make. I feel like I'm gonna make some more in the future, and it is completely functional. What I uploaded on the gallery is completely functional. When I took the screenshots, it all worked out, and it's already up in the gallery. So if you want to download it, you can find it under my origin ID, Spice and Sprinkles, all one word and all lowercase, and down in the description if you want to see it written out. And of course, you can play with it however you want to. It was just something I was thinking about. I was just channeling Skylar vibes when I did this, and I wanted a really nice seating area outside as well, which I'll be adding in a little bit. And I wanted just to put these adorable lights out here. I didn't use those. I do swap them out for the toddler pack ones because I just felt like they fit a little bit better and weren't quite as like, it just didn't feel like those fit in really well, if that makes sense. They were just so bright that it didn't like make sense to me. So I do swap them out, and I am really excited about that little lounge area up top. Like, it was funny because I didn't think I was going to do that, but the stairs kept clipping there. So I thought, yeah, maybe Skylar would like to hang out up there and kind of sunbathe and, you know, just, you know, hang out. So I do end up putting in a seating area, like I said, and I do end up putting like a boombox out there because he really loved music. That always made him really happy, and he was always just very like sweet with the way he made noises. It was just, it always sounded like music. Although like one of our other birds like straight up just talks to us like in English, which is definitely different, but his was always just very musical, if that makes sense. I don't know, is that even a word? Does that sound right? But I did end up putting out a fireplace, not a fireplace, a fire pit out here, and I know that it's on a rug, and I know that there's a good chance that it'll catch fire, but I really wanted to put it there, and I really liked having that rug there because it felt kind of like a picnic blanket or something, and it kind of defined that sitting space. So fingers crossed your Sims don't, you know, catch on fire from using that, but you know, we'll see. But I just thought it looked really nice. And then up here, this is his lounging space that I created, again pulling on just his colors using that pretty blue color. And fun story too, when I actually decided that I wanted to get a bird as a pet, first of all, the reason I did that was because I'm allergic to anything with fur, dogs, cats, rabbits, horses, all of that. I can't handle it. My allergies are awful. So the next thing was feathers. So I decided to get a bird. I did all the research, and I distinctly remember going to a pet store, and I saw him, And I was like, oh, I'm just not ready. Like, I don't think this is, but I fell in love with him, but I wasn't like ready to get a bird yet. And then, I don't know, a few days, maybe a week later, I decided, you know what? It's time. I'm going to get a bird. I'm doing it. And I went to a different pet store that was actually closer to my house. And, I looked at the parakeets they had there, and none of them were Skylar. Like, I don't know, like they just didn't, speak to me. I didn't have that connection with any of them. So I drove across town back to the pet store where I saw him, and fingers crossed that he was there, and he was still there. And I was so excited that I was able to take him home with me. So I guess it was kind of meant to be with Skylar, because like I said, I saw him, and then several days later went back for him, and he was still there. But it was just one of those, like, the other birds weren't him. So I couldn't, take them home. I wanted him. So I am really happy that he was still there, even though I had to go and do a lot of thinking about it, because it was a big decision anytime you get a pet and being able to take care of them. And I didn't know anybody with birds, so I literally had no idea what I was doing, in the sense that, like, I haven't seen birds be raised by anybody having them as pets, but, we had a dog growing up, but like I had no idea how to take care of a bird other than literally reading about it and doing that research. So it was just a little bit daunting to do that. And honestly, I've learned so much about birds, and all three of them are very different, the ones I have. Almost every bird has different things that you have to watch out for, or different things that they do. And it's just like almost having a separate pet entirely. They're all very different. But he was just so sweet, mild-mannered, and just like really a joy to have around the house. And I know that the other birds miss him as well. Actually, my green cheek conure, I mentioned Connie, she actually speaks like English, but she mimics. She doesn't, I don't think, really know what she's saying, but she mimics. And we always, as a nickname, we always called Skylar Skybird. And so we would always call him that. And so she's actually been repeating it since he's been gone. So that's been a bittersweet. It's kind of nice to be reminded, but at the same time, it's still kind of hard. But, we're, processing it, and it'll be okay. But I just felt like I needed to make this for him, because I thought about just making like a face cam video and talking about him, but it just didn't feel right. I felt like I just wanted to make a build for him and make him a sim self. So it's definitely, like I said, the sim I created is an interesting sim in the way he looks, but like I said, was inspired by Skylar, and he is up on the gallery as well. If you want to download him, his name is Skylar Bird. So you can go grab him off the gallery as well if you decide that you want, to use him for whatever reason. If you want him to live here, that's totally up to you, but of course you do not have to. And I wanted to use that egg chair that we got because he loved swings. So that's just reminded me of that. Like, I feel like he would have really enjoyed that chair if he was a human. And my other bird, Zoe, hates swings. And so that's why I say that, is because it's not necessarily a given that birds like them, even though I feel like you see them depicted like with swings and everything. Skylar loved them. And he would like to actually play with it. He would like hit it, and it would swing back towards him, and he would hit it away. And I don't know, it's like he was playing a game with it. So he found a lot of enjoyment out of his swing in his cage. So we always swapped him out for different types of swings, bigger swings, smaller swings. We had a swing with some mirrors at one point, but we did actually take the mirrors out of his cage. So it can be unhealthy for birds to have mirrors in their cages, especially if they become kind of obsessed with them. So just in case you were ever wondering, or if you were wondering if Skylar had an issue with them, he did. We eventually had to take out his mirrors because he was just a little obsessed with looking at himself. So the only time he ever saw a mirror is when actually he was in his travel cage, because each of the birds has their own like small travel cage that effectively is a car seat that we like strap in and everything. And that's basically the only place we ever had mirrors. So he just, that's what he got. Although he did try to talk to metal, like metal hooks and things that were in the cage just to hang his toys. He loved talking to those, and he loved talking to the end of like a dowel or the end of like a branch or something that was in his cage. He just would talk to them, and I don't know why. He just loved talking to them. So we always thought that was so hilarious, but that was his friends. He liked talking to the nub ends in his cage, like that were on the branches and things. And this is the zebra rug that I was talking about. Like I said, very random choice. However, it makes sense in this context. Of course, if you download it and you're not feeling the rug, you can of course change it out. There's nothing stopping you, and it does not hurt my feelings. If you want to alter this at all or just use it as a shell, go for it. You can put it in whatever world you want to. Just because I made this for Skylar does not mean you need to like keep it this way. I want you to be able to use it if you would like to. And like I said, I've never made a treehouse, but I kind of want to keep doing it because it was a lot of fun, and your sim can get to all the different platforms, and it was definitely a learning experience trying to figure out all the nuances of trying to create this. And I did include an office space for your sim so they can access a computer. Of course, you could play this off the grid if you wanted to. You know, if living in a tree house, that makes sense. But I wanted to make sure your sims have everything they need while you are actually playing the game. And I did just swap out the chairs that were with the chess table because I was worried that those chairs were not proper. Like they were like just like living room chairs, and your sim won't interact with them properly in order to use the chess table. So I swapped them out for the one that's up here, and then adding mirrors. And that's also why I added a random mirror in the living room. I just felt like, you know, he would want one there. So I added a few mirrors around the place just because I felt like that's what he'd want. And I was worried that this room was going to be too big, but actually adding this wall in here, I think gave a really nice partition. And I liked that the bed, like you could look out onto the landscape in the back. And even though I don't really build in Strangerville, and I've not actually even played the story for Strangerville, like this really is a nice view. I really like it here in some of the lots, and so I feel like I need to actually build here more often. And so I thought it would be nice to be able to like look out onto like the landscape. And I did not use the like leaf curtains in here like I did basically everywhere else. I used the ones that came with Jungle Adventure, and is that what it's called? And I'm guessing myself. No, Island Living. They came with Island Living. And I used a lot of the stuff from that pack just because the colors made a whole lot of sense in this case. And since Skylar was very musical and loved singing, I was able to put in here like a microphone and a guitar, so a space for, you know, music creation and singing. You can also use it for like comedy and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm just adding in a little seating area over here as well. So your sims have basically a ton of places to sit, and you could split this probably into another bedroom if you felt like it, if you wanted to download it and alter it. Like that would be something that you could do. But we are getting to the end of this video, so thank you again for watching. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you enjoyed it and want to see more like it. And I hope you're having a really sweet day. Bye everybody.